Hello everyone, good afternoon and have a happy Sunday. So last time we were talking about the story of time and punishment and how Raskolnikov killed a person for money and then how he got, some conscious that what will happen with him. So now we will go ahead in the story. What will happen? Exception men. Pulcheria and Dounia are alarmed at Rossi's condition, which seems to border on madness. Zossimov assures that although he is initially concerned that Raskolnikov was as insane, Rosim now believes the man is recovering. The women mentioned that Marfa had suddenly died. Razumihin escorts Pulcheria and Dounia home. Dounia receives a letter from Luzhin requesting a meeting of the following night without Raskolnikov. Pulcheria and Dounia go to visit Raskolnikov the following day. He realizes with sorrow that he can never speak freely to his family, since he will always be concealing his crime. Raskolnikov tells Dounia that she must choose between him and Luzhin. Dounia doesn't answer decisively but agrees to let Raskolnikov attend her meeting with Luzhin later that evening. Sonia arrives to invite Raskolnikov to her father's funeral. Rosalia asks Razumihin to take him to see Porfiry. Razulov asks Porfiry for his pledges. Porfiry reveals that Raskolnikov is the last of Alyona's customer to come forward. Porfiry also asks about an essay that Raskolnikov wrote when he was still a law student. In it, Raskolnikov advances his views on crime, including a theory that the perpetrator always experiences a bout of illness after its commission. In defending the paper, Raskolnikov propounds on his theory that there are exceptional men and ordinary men, that there are times when exceptional are entitled to commit crimes in the name of greater good. Professor uses Napoleon example of exceptional men. Porfiry suspects Raskolnikov of the murder and attempts to trick him into confessing but fail to do so. A death and inheritance. Raskolnikov relieves Porfiry and returns to the scene of crime and checks that he left no evidence behind. A stranger in the street calls him a murderer. Raskolnikov retorts that he killed a principal, not a person. He returns home and dreams that he's striking Alyona with an axe, but that she laughs and refuses to die. When he awakes, Svidrigaïlov is in his room. The man tells Raskolnikov that he wants to make his acquaintance and hope he could speak him to Dounia. Raskolnikov made it clear that he and his family don't like Svidrigaïlov. Raskolnikov tells Svidrigaïlov he had heard it has killed his own wife, Marfa. Svidrigaïlov says his conscience is clear, though Marfa's ghost has visited him 3 times. He says he sees a resemblance between himself and Raskolnikov. His behavior is disconcerting and distracted. Svidrigaïlov explains that he wants to see Dounia again and came to St. Petersburg for his reason. It tells Raskolnikov that Marfa left Dounia 3,000 rupees in her will, as if he is able to see it again, he will give her another 10,000 rupees so that she will no longer need to marry Razumihin. Svidrigaïlov asks Razumihin to communicate with this to his sister. Raskolnikov meets Pulcheria, Dounia, and Luzhin this evening. Luzhin is staying in the same building as the Marvidalovs and thus knows that Raskolnikov gave Sonia money. Luzhin tries to defend Raskolnikov by telling Pulcheria and Dounia it was a payment for prostitution. Raskolnikov refutes this. Furious at Luzhin's slander, Dounia breaks off the engagement. Luzhin leaves. Raskolnikov tells that Dounia and Pulcheria of Svidrigaïlov's offer. Razumihin then says that he thinks it's best if they part ways forever and that Razumihin is honorable and will take care for him in this instead. This upsets the women, but Razumihin leaves them without further explanation. Razumihin goes to see Sonia and turns her to her devout Christianity and asks her to read him the Lazarus section of the Bible. She does so, in the voice of her trembling, then powerful. When she has finished, she asks if she accompany him down the same road. and goes to tell her the next day who killed Lizaveta, whom Sonia also knew. Unknowns to Raskolnikov, Svidrigaïlov has rented the room next to Sonia and overhears the entire conversation. The next day, Raskolnikov goes to Porfiry at the police station and submits formal questions. Try to provoke Raskolnikov into confessing. Porfiry bluffs about evidence and uses psychological analysis. But these efforts fail when two men appear and falsely confesses to murdering Alyona and Lebeziatnikov. The family evicted. Luzhin is also staying in the same building as the murderer, encounters Sonia and gives her money and obstinately to help her family. Lebeziatnikov witnesses this and comments on Luzhin's apparent generosity. Shortly after Magdalene's funeral, Luzhin accuses Sonia of stealing 1,000 rubles. Revenge against Raskolnikov for dashing his hopes of marriage to Dounia. Lebeziatnikov refutes Luzhin's claims and proves Sonia's innocence. Sonia is emotionally overwhelmed and leaves in tears. As Razumihin departs, in defeat, one of his funeral guests throws a cup at an indecision, but misses and hits the murderous landlady. Already angry at Katerina, the landlady uses his spectre to evict him. Raskolnikov goes to see Sonia, who lives apart from Malvadros and isn't aware of the eviction. Raskolnikov tells her the news. He then confesses his crime and discusses fleeing to Siberia. Sonia encourages him to go to Crossroad, beg forgiveness for his sins and accept God's cross, but he refuses. Soledad also overhears this. Raskolnikov arrives. He has come to tell Sonia that his stepmother has lost his mind and has taken her half-siblings out begging in the street. Sonia rushes out to search for her family and finds them in a canal bank. Katerina, out of her mind from a combination of humiliation, exhaustion, and tuberculosis, collapses. Sonia takes Katerina back to her little room where she dies. Svidrigaïlov offers to pay for the funeral and help place Sonia and step-siblings in an orphanage. Raskolnikov also arrives and realizes that Svidrigaïlov knows of his crime. Coming clean, Raskolnikov receives a visit from Porfiry, who tells he knows that Raskolnikov is the murderer. Porfiry leaves without arresting Raskolnikov or extracting confession from him, saying that he's confident that he won't try to escape. Porfiry thinks it would be best if Raskolnikov turned himself in. Raskolnikov finds Svidrigaïlov in a tavern. Raskolnikov orders Svidrigaïlov to stay away from his sister. Svidrigaïlov draws him to a conversation about his life story and craven sexual appetites. He tells Raskolnikov that he is engaged to marry a 15-year-old, making their age difference more than 30 years, and offers to introduce her to him sometime. They leave the bar and Svidrigaïlov is now worried for his sister, follows Svidrigaïlov until the man invites him for a carriage ride. Raskolnikov decides that there is no current threat and leaves him. Down the road, Svidrigaïlov hops out of the carriage and encounters Dounia and tricks her into coming back to his apartment. He tells of Raskolnikov's crimes and attempts to blackmail her into sleeping with him. Realizing Svidrigaïlov of Raskolnikov's crime and attempts to is a serious threat, Dounia produces the gun she took from Marfa when she was still a governess and has carried ever since. She accuses Svidrigaïlov for being one of the one who poisoned Marfa. Dounia attempts to shoot Svidrigaïlov but can't kill herself to kill him. Svidrigaïlov understands that attempts to shoot Svidrigaïlov but Dounia will never love him and let her go. He then goes to see Sonia, to whom he gives bond worth 3,000 rupees and assurance that her siblings will be provided for. He tells her that he is leaving immediately for America and walks out in the rain. He then makes a brief late-night stop at his fiance's apartment, gives her 15,000 rupees and tells her that he has to leave for St. Petersburg for a time. Early next morning, Svidrigaïlov shoots himself in the head. Raskolnikov visits Pulcheria and Dounia to say goodbye and asks for his prayers. Although he is still conflicted for forgiveness at the crossroads. He goes to the police station and confesses but changes his mind. When he leaves, he sees that Sonia is watching me. He goes back inside and confesses. After a 3-month trial in which Raskolnikov gives honest and full accounts of his crime, he is sentenced to an 8-year prison sentence in Siberia. Sonia follows him there and Razumihin marries Dounia. And mad with grief, Pulcheria dies of brain fever. For a time, Raskolnikov is miserable and is brought in prison. He has harsh with Sonia and his fellow inmates grow to hate him. Nonetheless, Sonia visits him regularly until one day when she doesn't appear at the gates, Raskolnikov learns that she is ill and can't come for a few days. He worries about her. When she is well again and comes for visit, he breaks down and throws himself to her feet. The two weep together for the suffering and joy which lay ahead of them. That night, when Raskolnikov returns to the barracks, the other convicts treat him differently. He sees that his great suffering is the price to be paid for a new life, a happy life, but that is subject for another story. Thank you. At 2 p.m., I will start with the Hindi one. Till then, thank you and have a good day.